Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Earth's Strategic Command Center, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Milky Way. 20 years of service had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every fiber of her being hummed with tension. The signal that had arrived 12 hours ago had changed everything. "Play it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The air filled with a haunting series of pulses and clicks, and alien language translated by Earth's most advanced AI systems. "To any spacefaring civilization who can hear us, we are the Nilari. Our worlds burn. Our children die. They came without warning, without mercy. We have nothing left to offer but our gratitude if you help us. Please, we cannot hold them back much longer." The message had repeated for 6 hours before falling silent. Intelligence suggested it originated from a star cluster previously thought to be uninhabited, approximately 300 light-years from Earth. The timing couldn't have been worse. Humanity had only recently unified its military forces under the United Earth Defense Fleet, and their first contact with alien life was a desperate plea for help. "Admiral," Captain James Rodriguez approached, datapad in hand. "The Security Council is ready." Chen nodded, straightening her uniform. The next few minutes would determine humanity's first major interstellar intervention. As she entered the council chamber, 12 faces turned toward her, representatives from Earth's unified government, all bearing the same grave expression. "Admiral Chen," Council President Yuki Tanaka began, "you've reviewed the intelligence. What's your assessment?" Chen activated the room's holographic display, showing the signal's point of origin. The message appears genuine. "Our quantum arrays detected significant energy signatures consistent with large-scale space combat in that region. Whatever's happening out there, it's real. And you're suggesting we intervene?" Councillor Hassan asked, his tone skeptical. "We barely have our own house in order, and you want us to rush to the aid of aliens we've never met?" Chen's response was measured but firm. "When humanity first ventured into space, we promised ourselves we'd be different from the conquerors and colonizers of our past. We said we'd be better." She paused, letting her words sink in. "This is our chance to prove it. The fleet isn't ready for full-scale war," Councillor Santos interjected. "We have 60 ships total. If this turns out to be more than we can handle, then we'll adapt," Chen cut in. "That's what humans do best. We've reviewed the combat signatures. Whoever these attackers are, they rely heavily on energy weapons and predictable attack patterns. Our ships are designed differently. We use kinetic weapons, missile swarms, and unconventional tactics. We might be exactly what the Nilari need." The chamber fell silent as the council members exchanged glances. President Tanaka leaned forward, her eyes meeting Chen's. "You really believe we can make a difference?" "I believe we have to try," Chen replied. "Because if we don't, if we turn our backs on their plea for help, then we're no better than the aggressors they're fighting against. And that's not the humanity I swore to defend." The silence stretched for another moment before Tanaka nodded slowly. "Put it to a vote," she announced. "All in favor of authorizing Admiral Chen to lead a response force to aid the Nilari." One by one, hands raised. The vote was unanimous. "Admiral Chen," Tanaka's voice carried the weight of history, "you have your authorization. The United Earth Defense Fleet is hereby ordered to render aid to the Nilari people. How soon can you deploy?" Chen's response was immediate. "First response fleet can be ready in 6 hours. We'll take our newest ships, the Hyperion-class carriers and their escort groups, 20 ships total. Fast enough to matter, strong enough to make a difference." "And if you encounter superior forces?" Santos asked. Ken's lips curved into a slight smile. "Then we'll show them why humanity spent its entire history perfecting the art of asymmetric warfare. We might be new to space, but we're very, very good at fighting against the odds." As Chen strode from the chamber, her mind was already racing with preparations. Humanity's first interstellar intervention would begin in 6 hours. They had no idea what they were flying into, but that had never stopped humans before. Sometimes, the most important thing wasn't knowing you could win, it was being willing to try anyway. The next few hours passed in a blur of activity. Ships were readied, crews briefed, and battle plans formulated. Standing on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Hyperion, Chen watched as her task force assembled in high Earth orbit. 20 ships, crewed by humanity's finest, about to embark on the most important mission in human history. All ships report ready, Admiral, her XO announced. Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the stars ahead. Send to all ships. Operation Swift Guardian is now active. Plot jump coordinates to the Nilari signal source. We go in fast, we hit hard, and we show whoever's out there that humanity answers when help is needed. As the ships of humanity's first response fleet engaged their drives, Chen couldn't help but wonder what they'd find. But one thing was certain. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity wasn't just another spacefaring species. They were the ones who came when called, who fought for those who couldn't fight for themselves, and who never, ever backed down from a challenge. The stars blurred as the fleet jumped to FTL, carrying with them humanity's answer to the Nilari's desperate call. The UES Hyperion emerged from FTL at the edge of the Nilari system, followed by its escort fleet. Admiral Chen's first glimpse of the battlefield made her breath catch. The space around the system's third planet was littered with debris, the remnants of what must have been fierce battles. Multiple contacts detected. Lieutenant Maya Patil announced from her sensor station, reading heavy weapons fire near the planet's northern hemisphere. Energy signatures matched the hostile forces we detected from Earth. Chen studied the tactical display, her trained eye picking out patterns in the chaos. The attackers, sleek vessels with what appeared to be crystalline structures along their hulls, were methodically hammering away at the planet's defensive satellites. The Nilari ships, smaller and more organic in design, were fighting desperately but being systematically destroyed. Open a channel to all Nilari frequencies, Chen ordered. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Fleet. We received your distress call, and we're here to help. Please respond. For several tense seconds, only static filled the bridge. Then a voice responded, strained but clear. Earth vessels, this is Defense Coordinator Ven of the Nilari Collective. Your arrival is unexpected. We had lost hope of aid coming. Well, we're full of surprises, Chen replied. We've analyzed the battle situation. Our ships are moving to engage. Can your remaining forces coordinate with us? Yes, Ven responded, a new energy in their voice. Sending tactical data now. But be warned, the Kraxan are unlike any enemy you faced. Their crystalline technology will make a lovely debris field, Chen interrupted. Battle Group Alpha, move to coordinates Echo 7. Battle Group Beta, prepare missile swarms. Let's show them how humanity fights. The Earth fleet split into its predetermined groups, moving with precision that spoke of countless drills and simulations. The Kraxan ships, apparently noticing the new arrivals, began to turn their attention away from the battered Nilari defenses. They're powering up their main weapons, Paddle reported. Energy readings are off the charts. As expected, Chen nodded. Deploy countermeasures. Execute Protocol Thunderstorm. From the Earth ships erupted clouds of what appeared to be metallic chaff. Millions of tiny particles that began to interact with the Kraxan's energy weapons. The crystalline beams that had been so devastating against Nilari shields scattered and diffused, their effectiveness reduced to a fraction of their normal power. Enemy ships showing confusion, Paddle reported, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. They're adjusting their attack patterns. Of course they are. Chen smiled grimly. They've never fought humans before. Launch missile swarms, all ships. Let's give them something else to think about. The space between the fleets filled with thousands of missiles, each one carrying a relatively small warhead. The Kraxan's point defense systems began firing, destroying missiles with practiced efficiency, exactly as Chen had predicted. Now, she ordered. Activate secondary protocols. The destroyed missiles suddenly split apart, each one releasing dozens of smaller projectiles. The space around the Kraxan ships became a sea of kinetic weapons, too many to track, too small to target effectively. The first impacts began registering on the tactical display, the crystalline hulls of the enemy vessels cracking under the varage. Nilari forces are rallying, Patil announced. They're adopting our tactical approach. Chen watched as the organic-looking Nilari ships began using the chaos of the missile swarms as cover, darting in to deliver precise strikes against the now vulnerable Kraxan vessels. It was a perfect example of adaptation, exactly what humanity had built its military doctrine around. Send to all ships, Chen ordered. Press the advantage. Don't let them regroup. The battle continued for another hour, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Kraxan, faced with an enemy they couldn't predict and tactics they couldn't counter, began to retreat. Their remaining ships jumped away, leaving behind a graveyard of shattered crystal and broken hulls. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Chen opened a channel to the Nilari command. Defense Coordinator Ven, the immediate threat has been neutralized. Request permission to send support teams to assist with repairs and medical aid. Ven's response came quickly, their voice thick with emotion. Permission granted, Admiral Chen. And thank you. We had heard stories of humans, but we never imagined that we'd come. Chen finished. That's another thing about humans, Coordinator. We have a habit of showing up where we're needed, whether we're expected or not. As recovery operations began, Chen studied the tactical data from the battle. The Kraxan had retreated, yes, but something about their attack pattern bothered her. They had been too focused on specific areas of the planet, too interested in particular targets. This wasn't just an invasion. They were looking for something. Admiral, Patil called out, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the planet's surface, specifically from the areas the Kraxan were targeting. Chen nodded slowly. Contact Coordinator Ven. I think it's time we had a longer conversation about exactly what the Kraxan are after. The battle was won, but Chen's instincts told her this was just the beginning. Humanity had answered the call for help, but in doing so, they might have stepped into something far bigger than a simple rescue mission. As her crews began the work of securing the system, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that Operation Swift Guardian was about to become much more complicated. The central chamber of the Nilari High Council was unlike anything Admiral Chen had ever seen. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed along organic walls that seemed to breathe, while floating platforms held the assembled representatives of both species. After the battle, the Nilari had been surprisingly quick to invite human leadership into their inner sanctum. The artifacts you speak of, Chen said, addressing the assembled council, they're not just technology, are they? High Speaker Ven, their iridescent skin shifting with emotion, gestured to a holographic display in the center of the chamber. No, Admiral. They are something far more ancient and far more dangerous. We call them the Nexus Points, left behind by those we know only as the predecessors. The display showed a network of strange structures scattered across the galaxy, each pulsing with an inner light that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Chen noticed that several of the points corresponded exactly with recent Kraxan attack patterns. These Nexus Points, she ventured, they're some kind of transportation network. Among other things, Ven replied. They are nodes of pure possibility, Admiral. The predecessors used them to reshape reality itself. The Kraxan believe that by controlling these points, they can do the same. Captain Rodriguez, standing at Chen's side, let out a low whistle, and they use that power to what end? To remake the galaxy in their image. Another council member spoke up. The Kraxan believe in absolute order. They would use the Nexus Points to enforce their vision of perfection on all life. Chen absorbed this information, her tactical mind already racing ahead. That's why their ships use crystalline technology. They're trying to impose order even at a molecular level. Precisely, Ven confirmed. But they cannot activate the nexus points without specific protocols. Knowledge that was scattered across multiple species for safekeeping. We hold one piece of this knowledge. Other pieces are protected by civilizations throughout the galaxy. And now the Kraxen are trying to collect them all. Chen finished. Like putting together pieces of a cosmic key, the implications were staggering. This wasn't just about defending one alien species. It was about preventing a force that could fundamentally alter reality itself. Chen thought about Earth, about humanity's hard-won unity, about their dreams of peaceful exploration. All of it could be erased if the Kraxen succeeded. We need to coordinate, she declared. Not just humans and Nilari, but every species that holds a piece of this puzzle. The Kraxen won't stop with your world. Ven's skin rippled with what Chen had learned to recognize as agreement. Yes, but many species are isolationist, distrustful. They have hidden themselves away, hoping to avoid the Kraxen's attention. Then we make them understand what's at stake, Rodriguez suggested. Show them what happened here, and how humans and Nilari working together drove the Kraxen back. Chen nodded slowly, an idea forming. More than that, we show them that diversity, the very thing the Kraxen despise, is our greatest strength. Each of our species brings different perspectives, different technologies, different ways of thinking. Together, we're stronger than any force that demands uniformity. The council chamber hummed with discussion as the implications of this proposal spread. Chen could see the moment when hope began to replace fear in the Nilari's expressions. But the Kraxen fleet was only driven back, not destroyed, one council member pointed out. They will return, stronger than before. Good, Chen replied, drawing surprised looks. Let them come, because this time, we'll be ready. Humanity has spent its entire history learning to fight against supposedly superior forces. We've learned that victory doesn't always go to the strongest. It goes to those who can adapt, who can think differently, who can turn an enemy's strength into a weakness. She gestured to the display of nexus points. These points represent the power to reshape reality. But reality isn't meant to be perfectly ordered. It's meant to be diverse, chaotic, full of possibilities. That's what we're fighting for, the right of every species to chart its own course. The council chamber fell silent as her words sank in. Then Ven spoke, their voice carrying the weight of decision. We will send emissaries to the other species. Humanity's actions here have proven that unity is possible, that help can come from unexpected places. Will your fleet stand with us? Chen's answer was immediate. We'll do more than that. We'll help you build an alliance that the Kraxen never saw coming. Because if there's one thing humans excel at, it's bringing people together to fight for a common cause. As the council session concluded, Chen received an urgent message from the Hyperion. Long-range sensors had detected multiple Kraxen fleets mobilizing. They were gathering their forces for a major offensive. Good, Chen muttered to herself. Let them come. They think they understand power, but they've never seen the power of unity and diversity. She turned to Rodriguez. Send word to Earth. Tell them we need every ship we can spare, and tell them why. It's time humanity helped forge an alliance that will change the galaxy forever. The coming battle would test them all, but Chen felt a fierce pride in her species. Humans had come to help one alien race, and in doing so, they'd discovered a chance to help save the entire galaxy. It wasn't just about preventing the Kraxen from reshaping reality. It was about proving that reality was perfect precisely because of its imperfections. The true power of the nexus points, Chen suspected, wasn't in their ability to impose order. It was in their ability to connect different species, different ways of thinking, different approaches to existence. And humanity, with its endless adaptability and determination, might just be the key to unlocking that power in the way it was truly meant to be used. The combined fleet hung in space like a constellation of hope. Admiral Chen surveyed the tactical display aboard the Hyperion, marveling at the diversity before her. The organic curves of Nilari vessels flowed alongside the geometric precision of the Solari lightships, while the massive hive clusters of the myriad dwarfed even humanity's largest carriers. In just 3 weeks, their alliance had grown to include 7 species, each bringing their own unique approach to warfare. All command ships are reporting ready, Rodriguez announced. The Kraxan fleet will enter the system in 10 minutes. Chen nodded, studying the battle plan one final time. It was unlike anything in human military history, a strategy that embraced chaos and diversity rather than trying to impose order. Each species would fight in their own way, but together. Send to all ships, she ordered. Commence Operation Prism. The fleet began to move, breaking into formations that would have appeared random to an outside observer. The Nilari ships clustered in spiral patterns, utilizing their organic technology to create fields of electromagnetic interference. The Solari vessels arranged themselves in perfect geometric patterns, their light-based weapons ready to refract through the chaos of battle. Kraxan fleet emerging from FTL, Paddle reported. 500 ships, Crystal-class dreadnoughts in the lead. There, Admiral, they're broadcasting. Put it through, Chen commanded. A harsh, crystalline voice filled the bridge. This is Archon Commander Zix of the Kraxan Dominion. Your resistance is illogical. Accept the perfection of order, or be erased. Chen allowed herself a small smile. This is Admiral Chen of the Allied Fleet. We choose neither. We choose freedom. She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. All ships, execute Battle Plan Delta. Show them what chaos can do. The battle erupted like a symphony of destruction. The Kraxan fleet advanced in perfect geometric formations, their crystalline weapons lancing out with mathematical precision, only to find their targets seemingly impossible to predict. The myriad hive clusters split apart into thousands of smaller ships, each one acting independently yet part of a greater whole. The Solari lightships created prismatic fields that turned the Kraxans' own energy weapons against them. Human vessels darted through the chaos, their kinetic weapons shattering crystalline hulls with brutal efficiency. They're trying to adapt, Rodriguez observed, watching the Kraxan formation shift. But they can't predict which pattern to counter. Because there is no single pattern, Chen replied. That's what they don't understand. Our strength isn't in order. It's in our differences. The Nilari's organic ships pulsed with bioelectric fields, disrupting the Kraxan's crystalline technology. The Solari vessels created corridors of twisted light the human ships used to deliver devastating torpedo runs. Each species fought in their own way, yet somehow it all worked together in a deadly dance of organized chaos. Kraxan fleet is showing signs of disarray, Paddle reported. Their formations are breaking down. Chen leaned forward. Now, signal the myriad. Execute sundering protocol. The massive hive clusters of the myriad suddenly released clouds of microscopic organisms, a biological countermeasure they had developed specifically to target the Kraxan's crystalline technology. Where the tiny creatures touched crystal, they began to eat away at the perfect lattices, introducing tiny flaws that spread like cracks in ice. Multiple Kraxan vessels experiencing critical failures, Patil announced, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. Their fleet cohesion is collapsing. Signal all ships, Chen ordered. Full attack. Don't let them regroup. The Allied fleet surged forward, each species striking in their own way but coordinated through human tactical guidance. The Kraxan's perfectly ordered formations shattered under the onslaught of unpredictable, multi-vector attacks. Archon Commander Zix is attempting to broadcast again, Rodriguez reported. Let's hear it, Chen said. This is impossible. The crystalline voice was no longer harsh, but filled with something that sounded like fear. Your tactics defy logic. Your formations have no pattern. How can you coordinate without perfect order? That's the beauty of it, Chen replied. We don't need perfect order. We need perfect trust. Each species, fighting in their own way, but united in purpose. That's a power your crystalline minds will never understand. The battle raged for hours, but the outcome was clear. The Kraxan fleet, unable to adapt to the constantly changing tactics of the Allied forces, began a full retreat. Their once perfect formations were now a scattered exodus of damaged ships fleeing into FTL. As the battle zone quieted, Shen received transmissions from the other Ally commanders. The Nileri spoke of honor, the Solari of enlightenment, the myriad of evolution, but they all shared one common theme: gratitude for humanity's role in bringing them together. "Admiral," Patel called out, "long-range sensors are detecting more Kraxan fleets mobilizing in nearby sectors. This isn't over." "No," Chen agreed, "but neither are we. Send word to all Allied worlds. Tell them what happened here today. Show them that diversity isn't weakness. It's the greatest strength we have." The combined fleet regrouped, their various ships moving into holding patterns that somehow looked both chaotic and beautiful. They had won this battle not through superior numbers or technology, but through the one thing the Kraxan could never counter: the unpredictable power of different species working together, each in their own unique way. As Chen watched the fleet reposition for defense, she realized that humanity had found its true role in the galaxy, not just as warriors or peacekeepers, but as bridges between different species and ways of thinking. In their quest for perfect order, the Kraxan had created exactly what they feared most: an alliance of diversity that would fight to preserve the beautiful chaos of freedom. The Nexus chamber hummed with ancient power, its crystalline walls reflecting the combined light of 1,000 stars. Admiral Chen stood before the central control matrix, surrounded by representatives of the allied species. Behind them, through the chamber's transparent dome, the combined fleet held position, a living shield against the approaching Kraxan armada. The predecessors built this network to connect, not to control, High Speaker Ven explained, their bioluminescent patterns pulsing with urgency. Each nexus point was meant to be activated by different species working in harmony, which is exactly what the Kraxan could never understand. Chen replied, studying the intricate patterns of light flowing through the chamber. The mission to reach this central nexus point had cost them dearly, but it had also proven that their alliance was stronger than any force of rigid order. Multiple FTL signatures detected. Patel's voice came through the comm. The Kraxan are making their final push. All ships report ready for combat. Chen turned to the assembled representatives. "This is it. Everything we've fought for comes down to this moment. Are we ready?" The Solari Lightweavers stepped forward, their crystalline form a stark contrast to the Kraxan's corrupted version. "Our ships are in position. The light of 1,000 suns stands with humanity. The myriad swarms as one," came the collective voice of the hive mind. "Our biology adapts with yours." One by one, each species confirmed their commitment. Chen felt a surge of pride, not just in humanity's role, but in what they had all achieved together. The galaxy's first truly unified force, born not from conquest, but from mutual respect and the desire to protect freedom. Kraxan fleet emerging from FTL, Rodriguez reported. "There, by the stars, they've brought everything they have." Through the dome, Shen watched as space itself seemed to crystallize. Thousands of Kraxan vessels emerged, their perfect formations stretching as far as the eye could see. At their center, a massive crystalline structure that dwarfed even their largest dreadnoughts. The Archean core, Ven breathed. Their central consciousness. The chamber's communications crackled to life with a voice that seemed to resonate through crystal itself. "You have disrupted the path to perfection," Archean Commander Zix announced. "Your chaos ends today. The galaxy will know order." Chen stepped forward, her voice steady. "You still don't understand. Look at this chamber, built by the predecessors. Look at how each crystal reflects light differently, how each pattern adds to the whole. They knew what you refused to accept, that true perfection comes from harmony, not uniformity." "Irrelevant," Zix responded. "Your philosophies cannot stand against our might. Commence final purification." The Kraxan fleet began to move, their formations shifting like a crystalline tide. But the Allied fleet was ready. Months of fighting together had forged them into something unprecedented, a force that could act as one while maintaining the unique strengths of each species. All ships, execute Operation Unity, Chen commanded. Show them what real harmony looks like. The battle erupted across space. Military organic ships pulsed with electromagnetic pulses that disrupted Kraxan crystal matrices. Solari vessels bent reality with light, creating corridors through which myriad swarms could strike. Human ships coordinated it all, their tactical innovations turning the chaos into a devastating symphony. But the Kraxans' numbers seemed endless. Despite heavy losses, they pressed forward, their crystalline weapons beginning to overwhelm even the combined fleet's defenses. "They're pushing toward the nexus point," Rodriguez warned. "We can't hold them back much longer." Chen turned to the assembled representatives. "Then we don't hold them back. We show them what the nexus points were really meant for. Everyone, take your positions." Around the central matrix, each species representative moved to their designated point. The chamber's hum deepened as ancient mechanisms recognized the presence of diverse life forms working in concert. "What are you doing?" Zix's voice demanded. "The nexus points require perfect order, To." "No," Chen cut in. "They require perfect harmony. The predecessors built them to bring species together, not to enforce one vision of reality. And now we're going to use them exactly as intended." The representatives began their activation sequences, each in their own way. The Nilari through bioresonance, the Solari through light manipulation, the Myriad through collective consciousness. Humans, with their adaptability, helped bridge the gaps between different approaches. The chamber erupted with light as the nexus point activated, not with the harsh uniformity the Kraxan sought, but with a rainbow of energies that celebrated diversity. The light spread through the network, touching every nexus point across the galaxy. Through the dome, Chen watched as the energy wave reached the Kraxan fleet, but instead of destroying them, it did something far more profound. Their perfect crystalline structures began to refract the light, breaking their uniformity not into chaos, but into harmony. "Impossible." Zix's voice wavered. "This is not. We cannot accept it," Chen said quietly. "This is what the predecessors intended. Not destruction, not control, but understanding. Look at how the light plays through your crystals now. Perfect order isn't about making everything the same. It's about finding how different things can work together." The Kraxan fleet hung motionless as the light continued to work its changes. Their harsh crystalline edges softened, becoming more like the Solari's natural crystal forms. The Arctian core itself began to pulse with new colors, its consciousness expanding beyond the limits of rigid order. Hours later, as the Allied fleet helped secure the transformed Kraxan ships, Chen stood with the other representatives in a new council chamber. The galaxy had changed forever, but not through warfare or dominance. It had changed through understanding. "The Kraxan will need time to adapt to their new existence," Ven observed. "But already they begin to see the beauty in diversity." Chen nodded. "And we'll be here to help them. All of us, working together." She looked around at the assembled representatives. Former enemies now allies, different species now friends. That's humanity's real contribution to the galaxy. Not our weapons or tactics, but our ability to bring people together, to help them see that strength comes from celebrating our differences, not erasing them. As she watched the combined fleet, now including transformed Kraxan ships, prepare to return to their homeworlds, Chen reflected on how far they'd come. Humanity had answered a desperate call for help, and in doing so, had helped forge a new future for the galaxy. Not a future of perfect order, but one of perfect harmony. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if they too celebrated the dawn of this new age. An age where different species worked together not despite their differences, but because of them. And humanity, the bridge builders, the adaptable ones, would help lead the way into that brighter tomorrow.